Sorry, we're closed.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back. Episode 63 of Sorry We're Closed. I am your host, Mr. Patrick James Light, and we're going to talk a little bit pop culture today, a little bit, because everyone, I feel like, is talking about this Britney documentary. And so I obviously, I want to be in on the crowd. I don't want to be left out. So I watch it. I watched it the other night with my my girlfriend, my brother and sister. Not my brother and sister, my brother and his girlfriend. And if you haven't watched it already, essentially what's being discussed in the episode is this thing called conservatorship. I believe I'm pronouncing it right. It is essentially, what that means. I didn't know what that meant until I started watching. Until I actually watched the episode or watched the documentary. I didn't even know that this existed. But essentially, it's when you're deeming someone unable to make decisions for themselves, you then declare someone a conservator, or wherever the pronunciation is here, and they get to make those decisions. Apparently, it's very popular with people who are elderly, kind of maybe probably going through dementia or things of like that nature. And you have someone that is deemed as the person, maybe a child or so, that's an adult that is able to then make those decisions because that person is unable to do so. What we have in the Britney documentary is essentially her. I mean, Britney Spears has got to be in her 40s, I guess, probably, because I'm 30. I'm turning 30 in March. She was definitely 10 years older than I was. So she's in her 40s somewhere, and they went to court and deemed the father her conservator. Or, again, not totally sure on this pronunciation, but conservator. Let's say for the argument's sake. And now they did a little background on the father. The father seems like he's kind of, an iffy character. But also you look at Britney, and it seemed like she got a lot better throughout when she did seem to be kind of, into a dark place. It did seem like she was coming out of it. But then now I look at her Instagram, and her Instagram seems like she might not all be there. And I can understand possibly having this type of person in place to help her because she does have quite a bit of money, I'm sure. But the father's kind of a shady character. And I think there might be someone else that's in a better position to help her without any type of, maybe helping themselves more than they're helping actually Britney, which is what this is in place for. After the documentary, have you seen on Twitter, they have now... They axed the dad. She's now does not have him as the conservator anymore. And now I don't know if has someone else doing it. I remember in the documentary they talked about having a bank possibly do like a third party that would act in her best interest. But I didn't read all the all the mumbo jumbo about what exactly went into it and what how the dad was taken off or how someone else was put on. I don't really know. All I know is the dad is no longer this person. You see, that's apparently all stemmed from like a podcast that these people had. I don't know if it was a boy or a girl. I think it was two people on this podcast, and apparently they had talked a little bit about this whole process and what had been going on with Britney Spears, and they started this trend like Free Britney and all these other things, and now it's kind of blown up to the point where now, the dad's taken off, but I am not convinced based off her Instagram that she still is able to make these decisions for herself, especially at such a huge magnitude of how much money she might have. I can understand the argument that she could be taken advantage of and for large sums of money, which you never want someone to have to go through. So it's a unique situation. I was talking about it at dinner last night with some friends in the sense that I'm happy the dad's off. He seems shady. He seemed like a guy that might look out for himself more than he looks out for Britney. So I'm happy he's gone, but I still believe that she needs some guidance here and help along the way based off. I mean, I'm basing it off, minute videos on her Instagram, which is, probably spotty proof anyway. But it seemed odd to me. The documentary itself was kind of I didn't think it gave me as much information I was looking for. I was kind of hoping to get some Kevin Federline, quotes about their relationship. I never saw him on there. He was talked about, but he was never interviewed. Obviously, I would have loved to see Britney on it, but that was she declined. I just would have liked to see a little bit more background, a little more information. It just seemed like it was kind of like it was a good documentary, but it felt like it was kind of almost like a shell of a documentary. Where it had a bunch of stuff in there that was cool. It was interesting. You saw a lot of Britney growing up, which was kind of cool to see, like the rise of Britney Spears, because she was huge. But it seemed like there were parts missing, things that didn't add up, things that I was left wondering about. And that happens with any doc, but at the same token, I think this was a little bit more than I was hoping for. So to me, I put it on Twitter. I was like, the documentary was good, but it wasn't great. I'm not telling people all over town to go watch this documentary because it's a must watch. I think it was good. I also heard there was a rumor that Netflix is coming out with one that's similar. Maybe they'll have a bit more information involved in theirs. I'm not really sure, but this whole concept of a conservatorship was so intriguing to me that you could go to court and essentially lose your ability to make your own decisions in your 40s. Again, I think she could use some guidance. I'm not sure she's at the point where she needs a conservator, but I still think that she could use guidance for sure along the way. But it is this ability to do so. Is amazing, and especially how shady the character of a dad this is. It's concerning how this has been allowed for so long. Who knows what decisions he was making for her. And now if you look at her Instagram, it doesn't even seem like she's leaving her house. It seems like she's always dancing in the same portion of her house. And you never see anything, at least, I didn't look for a long, and I do not follow her, but you never see, like, the things that I looked at, you didn't see too much of her not at her house, which is weird. And I don't know if, I don't know what could make you lose your mind other than really drugs. I'm not really I don't know if she was in drugs or not. I can't remember if she's been in rehab, or not. I don't remember all that stuff, but it does. You listen to her talk. I would go to her Instagram after you're listening to this podcast and just look at the first couple videos and listen to her talk. I remember I forget what she made. I think New Year's resolutions. She was going to meditate more or something. Go listen to those videos and listen to how she talks. It doesn't seem like someone that's all there. And I can understand, like I said, the concern. But to allow the dad to do it seems like not the best decision for anyone in reality, let alone in this situation. So, hey, listen, it was a weird documentary. You can go watch it. It'll waste an hour and a half of your life, but it's not something I would be running to go watch. On the flip side, now that I've completed my Britney documentary review, on the flip side, it's baseball season. It's official baseball. I know I've talked about it a few times on the podcast in the past, but we are now there. Baseball spring training technically started today. I'm recording this on Wednesday. You guys are hearing it Thursday, so it technically started yesterday for you guys. And I was looking at some numbers. I was looking at some moves the Red Sox have made. I've looked at some moves that all the other teams have made. It seems odd to me that the Mets, I saw the Major League Baseball showed the percentages, the odds of people making the playoffs, certain teams. The Red Sox had a fairly good odds, 50-50 essentially, which after last year's performance, I'm quite happy with. Obviously, we have a better team this year. We got some people coming back. We have some new additions. I think we are definitely in a better position, a little bit more depth this year. But I was pleased to see that. With the AL East the way it is. It looks like we'll obviously be fighting with the Yankees, fighting with the Blue Jays, even the Rays. The Orioles, I think, were the only team in baseball that had a 0% chance of making the playoffs, which I thought was amusing. But that seems to be the Orioles' MO for the past decade. The other thing that stood out to me that was aggressive was the Mets. Now, I think the Mets have a good team. I think that if DeGrom, Syndergaard stays healthy, you have Stroman. I think they have the ability to be a very good team. But they were projected to make the playoffs at like an 87% chance, while the Braves were like a 61% chance. Now, keep in mind, the Braves if I remember correctly, like a game away, or I think they took the Dodgers to Game 7 or Game 5, whatever it is in the NLCS. That was a really good ball club, and I think they got better this offseason. So it's surprising to me that the Mets are viewed the way they are. I know there's been a lot of hype around them, a lot of hype around Steve Cohen and the new ownership and the way they're spending and how they're going after people, but it was surprising to me that this was something. These moves have gotten them to like an 87% chance of making the playoffs, where the Braves, who were a game or so away from making to the World Series last year, and got better this year. It's not like they're the Tampa Bay Rays, where the Tampa Bay Rays sold off Blake Snell and are kind of, I mean, they got a good team, but they're definitely not what they were last year. This team has gotten better this offseason. And it's surprising to me where the Braves have ended up. They're, all of a sudden they're not even in first place in their own division anymore. And the Mets have made some good moves. I mean, they did get Lindor, but I don't think these moves have made them the clear favorite for the NL East. And that's what these odds are kind of saying at this point. And it was a bit surprising to me. I think I saw one of my buddies, shout out AC, he's a big Mets fan. He said this is classic Mets setting us up for failure here and for disappointment, thinking that we got a 90% chance of making to the playoffs this year, and then them have a mediocre year in classic Mets fashion. So I guess we'll see what happens there. But that was very surprising to me to see exactly where those Mets, or how the Mets were viewed going into this season. But I'm happy it's spring training. I'm happy, the NL East is going to be a fun division to watch this year. The NL West is probably the most fun division to watch this year, with the Padres and Dodgers going head-to-head. And then, obviously, as a Red Sox fan, the AL East will be fun. I think the Yankees, if they stay healthy, have a good squad. I think the Red Sox, if they stay healthy and have Chris Sale come back, they can make a late season push. If not, they do have some pieces they could trade at the deadline to get some more prospects. I think they've done a good job. I know Benintendi's gone now, but we were getting 5 prospects in return for him. I still am in the camp that we gave up on that guy too early, but Bloom's trying to rebuild the farm and get be able to get a deal where you're getting 5 prospects from the Kansas City Royals, which are notoriously a good minor league system because they have to be. They don't spend a whole lot of money on free agents. I think it could turn out to be a very good win, and he did get Verdugo and a few other guys for Mookie Betts. So the process has begun, and I think Bloom's doing a good job. And I talked about it a little bit with Chris Cotillo last episode as far as, are we full-blown Rays? I hope not. I hope we're full-blown Dodgers, which apparently is kind of a hybrid between the Red Sox and the Rays. I think that would be a really cool place to be. I think it's working really well for the Dodgers. And I think, taking a few years to get to that type of model, I'm on board for it. And I think Bloom can get us there. So, hey, listen, it's a baseball season nonetheless. If the Red Sox could go 0-162, and I would still be happy that it's baseball season and we're about to watch some good times. We're talking about going to Boston a little bit more this year, hopefully catching some games. But just being in the summer air and having the Red Sox playing is always just making your life a little bit better, especially as we're about to get it seems like our 12th snowfall here in New Jersey. We're expected 8 inches again tomorrow, and it's getting to that point. We're past Valentine's Day here. It's that time of year now where I think everyone's itching for spring, at least in the Northeast. And I think everyone is excited that we're going to start hearing the ball hit the mitt a little bit more now. So, guys, I hope you enjoy your weekend. Thank you for listening, as always. We got Jessica Kleinschmidt joining us for Monday's episode, so please tune into that. She is a phenomenal baseball writer, baseball enthusiast. She does a great job out in the West Coast for the Oakland A's, and she's kind of on the national stage. She's great at what she does, and I'm excited to have her. I was on her podcast once before, and I knew once I did that she would eventually be on mine because she's just great at what she does. So I'm excited for that. Take a listen on that on Monday morning. Until then, guys, have a great weekend, and I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for listening to the Sorry We're Closed podcast. Go subscribe to our email chain over at thepatlight.com and follow us on all social media. Until next time, guys, I'll see you at the bar.
Sorry, we're closed.